This is the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. This week we'll check in on the cross-country trail in North Dakota with Josh Roberts from the Kindred Vikings, as Kindred is partaking in the Class B East Regional this Saturday in Cooperstown. Our very own Kevin Kochman will be there with KRJB 106.5 FM radio on Saturday, giving updates in Cooperstown. We'll also have a football conversation with Kyle Smith out of the Carrington Cardinals as they host the Oaks Tornadoes in the opening round of the Class A football playoffs. Fargo North standout and NDSU football commit Peder Haugo is our senior spotlight this week, and then we'll round off the show with 3 straight volleyball conversations in Minnesota and North Dakota. But let's get right into it. Here's our one-on-one conversation with Josh Roberts from the Kindred Cross Country boys and girls head coach. As we go now to the cross-country side of things, joining us from the Kindred Vikings, that is head coach for both the girls and the boys cross-country teams, that is Josh Roberts. And Josh, knock on wood, hopefully Mother Nature stays well for you the next couple of weekends here, as it's been an awfully nice, temperate kind of a fall so far. We haven't seen that S word and white flakes kind of coming around anytime soon. But as you get to this point of the season, Josh, before we talk about some of the runners, chat about the regional and state upcoming here the next couple of weekends, just how's everything gone so far in perspective from the team aspect for both the boys and the girls up to this point in the season here, Josh?
Thanks for having me, Chase. It's been a very fun season, and especially with the weather that we've had. We've been very lucky, fortunate, I guess, but we've only missed one meet. We were supposed to go to Lizardwood last Friday, and it was cold and rainy, and probably good just to stay home and get a workout and not have to stand out there for a few hours. So it was probably a blessing in disguise not having to go down for that meet. But no, it's been a very good season. Our boys have really, first of all, they really put in a terrific off season and in the summer, and just kind of all decided that they want to get better as a team, and it kind of got contagious where we had 6, 7, 8 guys really getting after it all summer, and that's really shown throughout the season. We had some small meets like against West Fargo and Grand Forks Central and Valley City, and our boys went 1 through 5. And it's just a tribute to their work that they put in. But yeah, it's really been fun. The boys team has really kind of made some big improvements this season, so it's very proud of their efforts and what they've done so far, and hopefully that continues. But even if it doesn't, we're very proud of the season that they've had, and certainly look forward to regionals. I think probably be the favorite coming in, but things happen and you just never know. So gotta still line up and go around hard, and then at state, Bowman would still be the favorite. They're 3 or 4 time defending state champions. We came close at the border battle. Their 5th runner maybe didn't have the greatest day. He had some trouble with the heat. It was kind of a warm day in Grand Forks there on September 30th, but nonetheless, we finished 1 point behind Bowman. And last year at the state meet, they put 5 in front of our first runner. So just to know that we're even close was pretty cool. It was pretty fun. It's a pat on the back for those guys that put in that effort. And so it'll be a fun end of the season, hopefully.
Yeah, and then on the girls' side, same thing here, Josh. I mean, the schedules mirror each other in terms of what you have left to go with the postseason. A lot of times you're running dual meets in some capacity when it comes to it. So how's the girls' aspect been going for you so far this year?
The girls, we have some tremendous returning girls. Peyton Getty and Allison Goodmanson are both seniors. They've been, I think, all region, I believe all 5 years that they've run in the region meet. They've been all state 4 times. Taryn Raisler's a freshman who's already been all region twice, looking for that all state honor. So we have some really good girls up front. And I think just a matter of our 4th and 5th runner, whoever ends up being on that day. Lexi Ogren's in her first year of cross country. Molly Hahn's only an 8th grader, but they've been in that 4 or 5 spot a few times throughout the season, as well as Olivia Soljum, Grace Cook, Ellie Schmitz as well. Everyone in there. So kind of whoever in that pack of girls decides, all right, let's go girls. And if they can close that gap, our girls could be a 3rd in the region and maybe a top 5 at state. If we run kind of where we've been, or maybe an 8th place team, which, that's not bad either, but it'd be fun to say, hey, we're 8th going in. What can we do? And maybe get that top 5 on the podium or even top 3 at regions. So that's the goal, but they just got to do what they can do and run to their fitness level. So we'll see what happens.
Take us through cross country as a head coach. How is it maybe different from other sports when it is the individual side, but there also is still that team side in terms of where you finish and you're trying to get points and you're seeing what other runners might do or what their times are a little bit, Josh. So how much is cross country when you're talking with your runners is the individual portion and kind of, having their own particular PRs and certain stuff of that nature? And then how much is it also, hey, if we can all finish, at this particular spot, we know we have a chance to be on the podium, or we know we have a chance to, finish first, for example, coming up this weekend at Cooperstown. How do you kind of balance that as a coach?
Well, I think everybody's, obviously you're running on your own. So you have to be willing to endure the discomfort that comes with running hard. And, but we also try to, focus on your teammates and doing it for your teammates for one, kind of a serving others attitude, but counting on your teammates like, hey, let's go, come with me. And we've got some good groups, of people that have kind of bought into that, and hopefully that will continue to help push each other. Because in the end, you have to do your very best, and then we add up the score. So add up the places at the end of the day. But if you can have a teammate pushing you along, sometimes quite literally, like, hey, get up into this pack, that's happened on our boys' side a couple times, where the older guys were, all right, we got some freshmen in our top 5, and like, hey, let's go, stay with us. So, but if you have a teammate helping you out, that sure goes a long ways.
Going through some of the boys' side here, Keaton Olson, I know I've been kind of looking at the polls a little bit that come out and some of the runners and teams, and Keaton's been right up there throughout the year here, Josh. You have Lucas Stahl and Elijah or Eli Deck as well that have kind of the latest in the top 10. They're all 3 up there. But let's start with Keaton. Just what does he provide to the cross-country program this season?
Oh, our seniors have been invaluable. They're just tremendous young men and helped the boys program along enormously. We brought up 3 8th graders last year to track. Braden Roberts, my son, and then Cade Westby and Tyler Gronwald. And so 8th graders coming into a varsity track program where we just kind of needed some numbers on the distance side. And Keaton and Lucas brought it right in under their wing, and even to the extent of, you guys come back and sit in the back of the bus with the juniors and seniors. And they'd be like, no, I'm an 8th grader. And Keaton said, no, you're with me. Like he just brought them in and they're friends, and that's how it's going to be. So his leadership and Lucas as well has really made all the world a difference. But Keaton as a runner, he kind of decided probably a couple of years ago that this was going to be his thing and he's going to give it a go. So, he's run throughout the winter, couple of years now, and then had just kind of made a really big jump last spring in the track, placing very high at the state meet, a mile and 2 mile, and as well as the 800. So he kind of just slowly progressed, the last couple of years, just put the time in and put the work in. And now, he's one of the top runners in the state. His only loss to a North Dakota runner this year is the Fargo North gentleman, Owen Sondag, who's quite a runner in his own right. So Keaton lost to him, I believe, by 12 seconds a couple of weeks ago. But otherwise, Keaton's been undefeated in North Dakota. So running very well. Having a great season.
And then you also have some seniors too on the girls' side here, Josh, that have provided some stability, as you alluded to already earlier with Peyton and Allison here. Just kind of what does it mean to have runners when they're coming in the program that are, in that junior high, middle school level or early on as a freshman that maybe haven't ran that much, to see someone like those two on the girls' side kind of been there, done that. They have the accolades. They understand what it takes to get through a whole calendar year of running and cross country. What does that do for a program, Josh?
Oh, the girls definitely having that is kind of maybe even just the mental strength or the calmness at a starting line. Like they can tell a Molly Hahn, an eighth grader, like, hey, it's going to be fine. Like you can do this. 'Cause those girls have been there, and they were seventh graders and somehow figured out, I'll just go run and placed in the top 20 at the state meet. And they've been very successful doing that throughout the years. So yeah, having those girls is phenomenal.
Last thing for you, Josh. What do you want to see from your squads here, your teams the last couple of weeks? Again, as we alluded to, it's the postseason of cross country. Once you get to this point of October, the last couple of weeks are coming up. And for some of these runners, they've maybe been at these particular courses in the past. They've understood what maybe those courses will kind of feel like if they've been able to be in a regional or at a state environment. But what do you want to see from your teams coming up here, Josh, to close out the month of October?
I just hope the kids enjoy these last 2 weeks, the time with their teammates. We have 8 seniors in all, and so it's going to be sad to see them leave. But competitive wise, we'd like our boys to continue to run the way they've run, do what they've done all season. And they've been very good at kind of mini packs. Our second Eli and Lucas have kind of packed together, and at times Cade and Tyler right there as well. So they can kind of continue to just count on their teammates and run together. The boys team should be very successful, should be very happy with their efforts. And the girls side, like we said, we can improve on where we maybe think we're ranked, if you will. Got to be happy with that. Maybe we'll be able to get some all region and all state girls and guys as well. And that's always kind of icing on the cake as well. But run to your fitness level is what we talk about. So you can't run better than 100%. So
100%, as I will allude to right there. Josh, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck here. Like I said, hopefully Mother Nature keeps it well in Cooperstown and Jamestown for you the next couple of weekends, and best down the line.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
On the Your Live Event Coaches Show, please be joined by the head coach of the Carrington boys football team, and Kyle Smith. And Kyle, thanks for taking the time out of your playoff preparation week to help us feature your team.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so Coach, a great season for you guys. Finished second place in the Region 2 standings. You had a regular season championship Cardinal clash against Langdon area, where Munich didn't quite go in your favor, but kind of walk me through the ups and downs of the season for your team.
The kids really, I think, exceeded expectations as far as the season went. We were really going into the Langdon game. We were 2 plays away from being 8-0. We lost to Botno on the last play of the game. We lost to Elizabeth on the last play of the game, and we ran into a buzzsaw against Langdon. Langdon they've been one of the top programs in the state for years, and boy, they came up here and took us to the woodshed. They were on top of their game, and it's not that we played that bad, but they're so good everywhere. They're good on offense, they're good on defense and special teams, and they make you pay for every mistake you make. And hats off to them. They proved they're one of the top couple teams in the state, and I think if they stay healthy, they're going to be a tough out for anybody.
Well, Coach, you and your team have certainly proven that you're one of the top 16 teams in the state in Class A. And my time in rugby over the last few years, got a chance to see your team close and personal, and you had some tough seasons in the last 5 or so years. Kind of talk to me about the turnaround of the program to get to this postseason spot.
I think the biggest difference this year is we have really good senior leadership. These kids they're an unselfish, hardworking bunch. They don't care who runs the ball, who catches the ball, who makes a tackle. They're after one thing, and that's to win a football game. And I tell you, they've just been a pleasure to coach, and they're again one of the hardest working bunch of kids I've ever been around too. And just been a great bunch of kids to be around, and it's nice to see them have some success and really overachieve where they were predicted to be. And so we're excited to see what we can do against a team from down there, a really good Oaks team, and hopefully keep our season alive.
And we'll talk about Oaks in just a little bit, but Kyle, I was looking at your roster here tonight, and you don't have just that senior leadership. You got a lot of young guys in your squad, a lot of sophomores, freshmen, juniors that are contributing. Your thoughts on how they've contributed well this season?
We only have 25 kids in our roster, so we're kind of forced to use some of those younger kids to play, and they filled in nicely on special teams and even in meaningful minutes on the field playing offense and defense. And we've just been pretty fortunate that our freshmen and sophomores have stepped up to the plate and been willing to do whatever they can for us. And, I feel bad for those kids with our lack of numbers. We haven't played a JV game all year, but yet they come to practice, they work hard, and they want to win as much as the upperclassmen. And again, it's just been a great team chemistry this year, and the seniors have led the way, and the freshmen have followed suit and really come together for a pretty good season so far.
Kyle, and the season continues. You got the Oaks Tornadoes coming to Carrington on Saturday. I think if I was on the outside looking in, which I kind of am, I'm circling this matchup as one of the marquee first-round matchups of the postseason. Your thoughts on the Tornadoes?
Yeah, they're I've watched several games on Huddle of them, and Coach Dobitz always does a great job. He has his teams well prepared. Defensively, they're pretty stout. They're aggressive. They fly to the ball, but yet they're disciplined at the same time. They haven't allowed a lot of points this year, and so we're going to have to execute offensively to put some points on the board. And we're going to have to score points when we get in the red zone. Offensively, they do a nice job mixing up pass and run, and they've got a really nice play action game, and they've got some talented skill players. Up front, they appear to be pretty big and strong. So, we're going to have to play our best game of the year if we're going to want to move on. And that's how it should be when you get to the playoffs.
Kyle, looking back at the Langdon game and what you take away from that one and what you hope to improve upon for the postseason, what are some other things that your team's been looking at this week to try and improve?
Taking care of the ball. We had a couple turnovers against Langdon, which we've been pretty good this year about not doing. I told the kids after the game, learn from this game, get it out of your memory, but it's kind of one of those games. We hope that iron sharpens iron. You're playing one of the best teams in the state, and their line is big and physical and like Oaks. So I think it was a good preparation for us, and maybe an eye opener for our kids of how we need to get to the next level if we're going to move on.
Coach, anything else you want to mention about Carrington football for your live event audience?
No, I hope we get a big crowd out there on Saturday. I think it's going to be a beautiful day for a game. I know Oaks travels well, and the folks in town are pretty excited about it. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. Our field looks good. We have a new stadium and press box, and I think it's just going to be a really neat day to be a part of.
I, for one, from a broadcaster's perspective, am glad that if I go to Carrington again, I don't have to sit outside in the rain. One more game.
Yeah, there was a couple of years ago there where it was tough to be a camera person or someone doing the game because you had to sit out in the elements without that press box. But this year we're gonna have nice weather. You could sit outside if you wanted, but they've done a nice job making that area really nice, and we've got a beautiful grandstand and press box now that we're proud of, and hoping we can fill the grandstands and provide everybody some good entertainment Saturday.
Yeah, lots of in that region of the state. You look at Botno, you look at Candu, and you guys down in Carrington, lots of new facilities. It's great to see football improving across the state of North Dakota in all respects. That's the head coach, Kyle Smith from the Carrington Cardinals, joining us. Again, they're taking on the Oaks Tornadoes this Saturday in the first round of the Class A football playoffs, and who knows, we may have them later on yourliveevent.com. Coach, best of luck this weekend, and thanks for the time.
You bet. Thank you.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, president at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsborough location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsboro and see why there's more at 104.
Coming up, we'll chat with Jenna Anderson from Sargent County Volleyball. But first, here's our conversation with Peder Haugo of Fargo North. Join us from Fargo North, our senior spotlight. That is Peder Haugo. You probably heard him and seen him in a number of varieties, particularly on the football field the last couple of years, getting in the end zone. And Peder, before we talk about Jamestown on Thursday night, your push for the playoffs here, overall, can't complain your senior season, obviously, about how the win and loss record's been going. Just how's everything been for Fargo North football for you so far this season here, Peder?
It's been great. We talked about at the beginning of the year, just taking it week by week and just not overlooking any opponent. I feel like with our record, we can say that we've accomplished that little goal. And everybody's having a great time and just ready for this next game to get coming.
Take us through what this senior class means. There's a ton of you guys who have been through the trenches, who've been through this build up to that postseason run that you had last year to the Dome, and you're hoping to get there again this season. But ultimately, what are some characteristics that best describe this senior class for Fargo North football?
I mean, the first kind of adjective that comes to my brain is just family. Everybody has their back for each other and is willing to do whatever it takes to just get it done on the field for each other. I also say we're a very hardworking class, whether that be putting time in the weight room outside of what's expected and doing extra drills on the field after practice, and just everybody's just willing to carry up their load in order for the team to succeed.
You get a lot of the accolades, and rightfully so, when you get in the end zone, whether it's one time or 5 times during a football game here, Peder. But the guys up front do some of the work for you as well in terms of opening up lanes and getting to that second or sometimes third level where you don't even get touched. What is it about this offensive line that has just continued to get better and better, not just through this season, but the last couple of years?
I mean, for me, it's their coachability. We watch film on the sidelines during games, and coaches will come out, point something out, and just give them tips to the offensive line. They'll be able to see those tips, put it into use right away. And after they make those adjustments, I mean, I feel like there's nobody that can really hang with that offensive line. They're mean, they're smart, they're gritty, and they just have everything to them.
You mentioned, too, about family. Is that the best way just to describe Fargo North football in general so far from your tenure, whether it's been your senior year or maybe to your freshman, sophomore year? What's a best attribute so far of Fargo North football during your time, Peder?
While I've been here, it's for sure been hard work. And we all grew up kind of watching Fargo North struggle on the athletics. And I feel like we just really knew that in order to kind of get up with the big dogs and achieve what we wanted to achieve, it's going to come with hard work. So we'll just put our nose down and work hard.
Going up against Jamestown to close out the regular season, you have obviously some history with them the last couple of years when it comes to the postseason here. Just ultimately, what is your thoughts on what's it going to take to beat a quality, run program there with Coach Nelson and the Jamestown Blue Jays to try to finish off the regular season 9-0 here, Peder?
I mean, we have them at home this time. I don't know if that's going to make a big difference, but obviously they're going to come out swinging. Jamestown just traditionally has been able to throw the ball, kind of attack our DBs, and I feel like this week if our DBs lock it in and our D-line gets to their quarterback, I think we'll be able to get it done. But just having that rivalry with them and we all just want to come get this one back for them. The last 2 years they've taken us out. We just all really want this one bad, and I feel like there's no need for a rah-rah speech before the game on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's a short week, but the one thing you do know with the QRF rankings, you're going to at least get one more playoff game. Then from there, it's win and you advance, lose, and you go home, as you know, Peder. So what's it mean to know that you at least will have one more game on the north side after Jamestown, then potentially, 2 in case you take care of business in that quarterfinals? How fun is that to know that you might not have to travel at all outside of a block or two, for postseason football this year?
Yeah, it's kind of cool knowing that maybe the state championship has to go through Fargo North, and just knowing that my senior season's we're not going to be shorted on any home games. And just, I feel like Fargo North has maybe the best environment for high school football, not having a track around our field and everything. And just a great feeling at home, and just amazing to know that I don't have to go more than 3 blocks to play a game for the rest of my career at Fargo North.
Yeah, a high school football, and then you're not going to have to go far either for college football, either heading to NDSU. Before we talk about the schooling and what you're kind of going to go into here, Peder, just take us through your recruiting process. What made NDSU stand out? Why was it a good fit? You know, the questions I'm sure that everyone's asked you before here, Peder, but what ultimately at the end of the day said, you know what, NDSU, Fargo, just everything worked out in terms of what you want to go into?
So first opened up with just NDSU, UND, and those were my first couple interests. And I was getting some more Power 5, but Coach Entz was really talking to me a lot. They really made it feel like a family feel, and they want what's best for me. And obviously living in Fargo, watching the program just with how dominant they've been over the past couple years, I feel like it was almost a no-brainer. And just I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. So I have 3 younger siblings down beneath me, and I want to be able to stick around and watch their high school games and just still be a part of my family while I'm going to one of the best programs in the country.
And then you go from there to the schooling aspect. I know sometimes people will always say, hey, make sure you're going to the right place to, you know, have your major along the way too, Peder. And for you particularly, what's one thing that made NDSU from your schooling standpoint as you're going to bio, having a chance to get into pre-med a little bit here, but what made that part just be the right fit for you as well at NDSU?
I feel like it was more, my mom's a doctor actually, so going into pre-med, if I ever need any study help, I can always come over, get a quick meal with my parents, and maybe she could help me study and everything. But I feel like just they have a good biology program over there and have a good acceptance rate in the medical school after, so I wasn't really worried about my academics so long as that goes.
Take us through, did you have an aha moment, or has it always been kind of because of your mom, or just kind of maybe because of the family that you always felt like medicine or an opportunity in healthcare or something that way? Did that always kind of be the guiding light a little bit for you, Peder?
It was actually my sophomore year when I actually broke my wrist, and I had to kind of go through that whole process, just x-rays and everything, and I was like, wow, this doesn't even seem like it would be work if I was a doctor. So just had a real fun time with it, and that was kind of my aha moment where I was like, yeah, I want to go into medicine.
Favorite football memory of all time? Is it one of the games that you've obviously had on Friday nights or playoffs? Is it something with you, family, and friends being, you know, maybe just a fan of a game of football? Take us through what are your 2 football memories, favorite ones of all time here, Peder?
Something that comes to the top of my brain is the homecoming win this year, just against South. Nail biter, great game, insane environment, and just sitting on the bench watching Sam Fertile go out there, get that game-sealing interception. I mean, I feel like nothing can beat that. And as a spectator, my favorite moment would be watching Minnesota beat Wisconsin at home 2 years ago for the Axe, and ran down onto the field and got hyped with the team. And yeah, that was a fun memory.
Last thing for you here, Peder, just because you mentioned that North-South game, homecoming night, you know, it was 1 versus 2. It went literally right down to the wire in that game. Outside of maybe playing in the championship at the Fargo Dome, because I know that can be surreal as well, was that just one of the best high school moments that you've been a part of? I know Fargo North won state basketball during a blizzard last year where the North side, Rowdy side really got going too. Was that up there, though, on one of the best environments that you've ever been a part of as a fan or a player with that homecoming matchup against the Bruins?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. We also had the police force was out there, and everybody was out supporting them. And I feel like it was just a key mark game, and just everybody brought all the energy, and it was so insane to play in front of.
Last thing, this is the overtime question for you, Peder. It might be one that kind of maybe hits you a little bit on the heart. So I know that game too. You went out there for JD. You got the patches that are on for him too. Are you carrying that with you throughout this season, whether it's football or anything else that you're kind of going through? You mentioned having to go through that wrist injury, so I'm sure you talked with JD a ton at certain particular times during your rehab. What's it mean to, you know, have that JD emblem on for this Fargo North program, you know, moving forward, no matter if you got 2 games left, 4 games left here, you know, in this football season?
It means a lot to everybody. Football is obviously a game of injuries, and going into the training room, JD always having a smile on his face and really just not being a healer of the body, but also a healer of like the emotions and the soul aspect of everything. I mean, we're all leaving his legacy behind, and we all know that he would want us to focus on our main goal and get the job done. So we obviously have that in the back of our mind, but we're trying to do this for JD too.
Peder, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck moving forward against the Blue Jays on Thursday night, then see where the chips fall where they may for the postseason and for the rest of your senior year on the north side.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, join us now here from the Sargent County Bulldogs. That's their head coach, and Jenna Anderson, as they're having a really nice season on the volleyball court here. And Jenna, just 2 weeks away to the start of the Region 1 volleyball tournament on November the 3rd and November the 6th, as depend on play-in matches or if you get that bye into the quarterfinals. You guys are sitting, if it ended today, you'd be in that quarterfinal round bye as a number 4 seed. You still have a chance to maybe go up the standings a little bit here, but overall, at the end of the day, Jenna, how would you assess your team's performance, 2 months into this volleyball season?
When you made that comment right now about like locked into that quarterfinal, like I got chills. This has been in my 9 years, one of my favorite seasons. And I mean, of course, you could say it's because we're winning, but really like usually when we get to this point in October, as a team, we're all like at that end point where we're like, oh, where's that region tournament? When is it coming? And now I look at it and you say 2 weeks, and it's crazy to me that it's already here. It's been a really good season all around, just a good group of girls to work with. And like I said, we're, finishing in that 4th spot. We're happy with that.
I want to ask you on one particular team in the region, because this year, I think, and we say this year to year, there's parity, there's balance, but I really do feel like this year, when you look at teams 9 and who knows, Enderlin, Tri-State, or Richland could, win a couple matches and feel good like Richland did last year going into the postseason and picked off Maple River to get a quarterfinal round appearance as a double-digit seed here, so that can happen. But it feels like the middle, and even a couple teams up top with Northern Cass, Weimar, Lidgerwood on any given night here, Jenna, you could take a set, you could easily give up a set, but is it fair to say you can put everybody in a blender and you're not sure how it might actually come out once we get to that last day in Lisbon for that region title?
Yeah, you just never know. When people ask me, well, where do you sit? Where do you think you're going to be at tournament time? What's this team doing? What's that team doing? They kind of look at me funny when I say, well, it just depends. I can't say for sure what's going to happen any given night. Like you said, these teams in Region 1 have proven year in and year out that they're going to fight for it. And you might have those upsets that really surprise everybody, even the people that are on the winning side of the upset.
The traits of this year's Bulldogs team, I know you still got a couple weeks left. You want to lock yourself in, as we mentioned, as a top 4 seed here, Jenna, but what's a trait or two about this year's team that you've really liked, or maybe there's a trait that you weren't sure about going into the season that kind of solidified itself, the first month or two of the year? This group has really taken ownership of their team and their role on the team. This summer, we did some new things. We've gone to VCSU team camp in the past. This year we tried a new team camp. We also went out to Beulah and did a midnight tournament in June. And all of these girls were at both of them. So their investment in the team, their investment that they've put in this season and in the off season to get where we are at in this point in the season has made a tremendous difference. We were talking just a little bit ago about how it's hard to pick 1 or 2 girls to talk about, because at the end of the day, like, we can't do it without our 7-8 key players. And so they all just kind of feed off of each other, whether it's for the good or the bad. And we're hoping that we end on that good note. Let's talk about the traits of the senior class here. And every year in every sport's a little bit different. Some years, the 3-4 seniors, they're all going to be in the starting lineup. Some years you put someone in rotation, and some years someone's coming out. You're like, hey, I want to put you out there, but there's maybe just as good, or the team's gelling this way, or someone got nicked up and injured, and all of a sudden there was a really good core for 2-3 weeks. And it's like, how do you put him back in that system when everyone's vibing here, Jenna? So let's talk about the seniors. Everyone's got a different role within your senior 6, but how have you enjoyed this senior class here this season? Yeah, so my 6 seniors that I have, I have Hallie Nelson, Elena Anderson, Peyton Hammond, that are in my starting lineup, right? I have Kinsey Olson, who has been on my bench all year, but actually last week I needed her to step in and serve, and she's been rocking at that. I have Evelyn Bixby, who is our spirit of our team, in practice, on the bus, in the van going to practice. Like, she's our spirit. Without her, like, it brings our mojo down a lot. Who's my 6th one? Now I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, and that's the one thing when you continue to have these seniors here, as you mentioned, some of them are being in the starting rotation. Some of them, Jenna, at the end of the day, are coming in and playing some different roles. But it just seems like these girls, when they get on the court, whether they're number 1 or they're number 6, so to speak, it seems like they just want to find a way to have fun and also find a way to win some matches along the way, with your all 6 seniors.
Yeah. Yep. And Amber, my other senior, my other middle, and she's a perfect example of somebody that comes to practice every day and she is asking, can we work on this? Like, I think this is something we need to improve on from last night. And that leadership and those younger girls, seeing them, picking out certain things they want to work on and like picking apart their own game, that's going to help us in the long haul because those younger girls are seeing that. And hopefully that's what they start doing down the road.
Let's talk about some of the other girls here you mentioned already. Elena Anderson, Hallie Nelson, also Lily Lee, some of those 3. Just those 3 in general here with Anderson, Lee, and Nelson. How have they provided, number 1, to be really good players in their own right, whether it's playing the back row, outside, serving, finding ways to keep the ball up and keep it alive, Jenna. But what have those 3 in particular brought to Sargent County's program this season?
Yeah, so starting with Lily Lee, what weekend was it? We were in Lisbon the last weekend for our last tournament, and she had like her breakout day. Like it just seemed like things were coming together. She's somebody, she plays right side for us. And this is a new position for her this year, but it's like everything clicked. She was getting to her blocks. She was coming back and playing defense when she needed to be covering. Her hit came around. So just that growth that we've seen in her this year, she's been a really key part of not only our defense with the blocking, but our offensive game with her hitting. It's nice to have that third option in the front row. Hallie is somebody who, on a beautiful ball, she's going to put it straight down. And that's something that not only, of course, like boosts our score, but it boosts our morale. Between her and Lily Lee at one game, it was 4 blocks in a row in a volley. And something like that where they're working together to make that happen. And, our block game, even though we didn't get scores off of those blocks, like those touches boosted our momentum and like had everybody fired up in our gym. Elena Anderson, she plays all the way around for us, but her key role really this year has turned into her defense. Like she's getting the last couple of games, she's had more digs than our libero. So that's something that, just taking that role, even without that other color jersey, right? Like if we can have our libero digging high and another player or 2 digging high, it's going to come around for our hitters too.
Last thing for me, Jenna, before we let you go, this season for Sargent County, whether it's been football, I know girls golf had a pretty nice year, maybe some individuals as well, what we're seeing on the volleyball court. What's it like having the success within these programs and this co-op this season here in the fall when you're starting to see, one player maybe attribute to a different sport or football's having a really good year. Obviously, volleyball, you guys started off with a bang with a win at Central Cass and also a comeback victory in 5 at the Raider Dome in Tower City. What's it been like from your point of view this year from athletics just across the board?
Yeah, the conversation we had at our homecoming pep rally was, this is a great year to be out at Bulldog Athletics. We have people coming that I haven't seen in the stands for my last 4 years with the Bulldogs because we're doing so well. And I think, not only like the older people that are coming out, but the younger people, like this is going to make this season, for whether it's our football, whether it's our volleyball, whether it's our golf, those younger kids are seeing that and they're coming out to more things and getting more exposed. And I think that's just going to be huge for our programs overall. But it's been really proud of all of these kids. Really proud. And like you said, they boost each other up, whether it's the volleyball players going to the football game, the football players coming to the volleyball game. The girls that were in golf are from volleyball, so our team boosting them up when we can, so it's been really good to see all of us working together and cheer each other on during this season.
Jenna, as always, thanks for making the time. Best of luck here the last couple weeks of the regular season. And if I don't see you, we'll see you down in Lisbon for that Region 1 volleyball tournament coming up first week in November.
Awesome. See you there, Chase.
That again, Jenna Anderson for Sargent County. Will continue on our Coaches Show after this.
Here's Trail District Health Unit Administrator Brenda Stallman with a timely health tip for the women in our lives.
October is a good time to take heed to that annual reminder of getting your mammogram. All women should be getting screened for breast cancer. Mammograms are essential. You can catch lesions that are far smaller than what you can see with the naked eye or feel with your fingers. So please take that moment to schedule your mammogram.
Contact Trail District Health Unit in Hillsboro to learn more on breast cancer prevention during this National Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Bank of North Dakota wants you to be confident when it's time to make student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident to calculate the maximum amount of student loan debt that is recommended based on your career choice. You can also learn how to apply for financial aid and get tips to cut education expenses. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident today.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one, American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
We'll close out the show with a couple more volleyball conversations as we'll chat with Emily from Sacred Heart in East Grand Forks. But first, it's Nikki Morrison, who sat down with our own Joel Ansello talking Perham volleyball.
Welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. We have a first here. We are conducting an interview with someone who is driving. Nikki Morrison is the coach of the Perham Yellow Jackets volleyball team. Nikki, thank you so much for your time here. I hope I'm not taking too much of your attention.
You are doing just fine. We're good.
Well, the Yellow Jackets, 13-10 on the year as we record this, and you're in a pretty good battle in the Heart of Lakes Conference with Holly and Breckenridge for that top spot.
We are. For Holly, I think it's East Grand. Yeah, we're in quite a battle. We just battled them last night. We battled Holly last night. We went 4 sets. It's didn't come out on top. Holly's such a great team, and we've had some tough battles with them, and we just need to keep making strides forward as we prepare moving into the playoffs.
What have been the strong points, and who are the strong performers for the Perham Yellow Jackets this year?
I have an amazing group of seniors this year. I have Willow Thiel, which has been a starter since 8th grade. She has been unbelievable for our team. Another amazing starter and captain that we have as well is Jaden Hackle. She has also played since 8th grade. Lainey Wacker, who has been our setter for the last couple of years, she has really stepped up, especially this season for our team. And then we've had some fresh junior Greta Razor. She has continued to blossom through the season, along with Kennedy Pilgrim, who is a senior. I've really challenged her this year by playing all the way around for the first time. So we just have we've got some amazing players with this group.
You mentioned Lainey Wacker. I see that a couple of weeks ago she broke the 1,000 assist mark for her career.
She did, and she's worked hard to get there. She's done such amazing stuff for her team, and she always puts her team first, and it's just really a great accomplishment for her.
As far as section play goes, where do you think you'll wind up being seated?
Well, after some tough losses that we've had, I'm thinking we'll probably end up around the 4 seed because we'll also be battling with Wadena since they just moved into our section this year. And they beat us in the very, very beginning of the season, the second game of the season when we were still trying to figure some things out. So that could hurt us seeding wise with them, but right now it's looking like we'll probably end up around the 4 spot, depending on how this weekend goes with the tournaments coming up.
So it sounds like Perham would be a team that maybe nobody wants to see on the other side of the net come playoff time.
We always try to bring our best, but I feel every team that plays us always brings their best. It always feels like, their A game is always there and it challenges us every time. So, we're just going to keep doing what we can do and keep improving where we need to improve at, and, let the cards where they fall. But, we're always going to be there to compete.
Okay, we look forward to seeing how the Yellow Jackets do come the postseason. Nikki, Morrison, thank you so much, and best of luck the rest of the way.
All right. Thank you so much for this interview. Nice to see you.
Okay, and we'll continue with the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation, right after this.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. I'm Joe Lancello, along with Emily Vonasek, the coach of the Sacred Heart Eagles volleyball team. Emily, how's your season been going?
Pretty good. We had a rough week this week. We had a couple losses, but overall, we're kind of a mix of players. We have some young players and some veteran players, and so we're doing the best we can, and I think it's going well. We've had success, so.
And doing pretty well in your conference, 4-1, I see, as of Friday the 13th.
Yes, that is the end of our conference play for the year. So that's where we ended. Yep. With one conference loss to East Grand Forks. But overall, very impressed with the way we played in our conference. And, I'm pleased with the way it's going. We want to end at the top, of course. So peaking at the end is something we're talking about in practices and really working towards as a team,
What have been the strong points of your team, and who are some of the contributors?
I think our offense has been dynamic, more so, meaning we have several options to use this year, spreading out our offense a little more than we have in the past, which is nice. We have a couple of very talented young girls coming up, and Lydia Risky is an outside hitter. She leads us in kills. Mostly she's a freshman outside hitter. And then I have a freshman setter as well that has been pretty outstanding for us. I also have Ava Knudsen. She's a senior and she is a middle for us. And she tends to come through when we need those big kills. She uses her experience that she's gained over her years of playing. And I think that somewhat balances the maybe inexperience of the younger ones that are coming through. So it's a nice balance there. I think occasionally our serve receive is good. Sometimes we need a little help with that, but I think that's something we continue to work on, and it's an important part of the game. So I think the girls know that, and they just mesh well on the court. And I think it's going to be a fun playoff time for us, I hope.
You mentioned having a freshman setter. That is a really tough position for a freshman to walk into.
Yeah, and I guess that was maybe a little misleading because she played last year as an 8th grader.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes.
Same thing. It's still, and I'm not saying she was handed the position by any means. I'm sure she earned it. But again, it's just being your first year on the varsity and getting used to everybody is one thing, but then getting used to how they want the ball delivered and so on.
Yeah, I think she's very quick, which helps tremendously because a lot of balls that maybe aren't passed in system, she brings back into our offense and makes them a hittable ball for our hitters,
Let's get her name out there first.
Her name is Finley Horkin is her name. Yep. Last year we ran a 6-2 with another setter. So that I think helps with that transition into a varsity role, to be able to set part of the time and have some of the time where you're not setting as our sole setter. And we have some very talented hitters too. I mean, we have to give them some credit too for being able to put the ball down. But yeah, she's definitely a force with our offense. She makes good plays and tough plays to get the balls to our hitters, all the time. So, yeah, she's a good player. The future's bright, too. So it's good.
Okay. What do you see as far as where you might be seated in the section playoffs?
I mean, I think we'll be around 4 is my hope. We have a tournament actually coming up tomorrow, and we do face some section teams there. So we need to have a good weekend. And like I mentioned, this was a tough week for us. So we really need to put that behind us, kind of our week that we've had, and move forward and sort of get out of our slump we're in, a little bit of a slump, I feel like. And we need to just bring it back to, the game they all love and the game they love to play. And I think that's important for them to remember, and hard to teach, like to get out there and play with the joy that you get when you play the game. And it's a tough thing to, I can say it, but to do it is another thing. So we need to get back there, and tomorrow is the day. So, I have practice here in about a half hour or so with them. And, we're just going to talk about that and get on the court and do the fundamental things that we know how to do, and really try to have good attitudes and be in a good mental place going into our tournament tomorrow.
With the MEA weekend coming up, how much of that time would be just kind of lighter practices, or what's your approach going into that? That's kind of the buffer between the start of the section playoffs?
Yeah, we don't take time off during that. So we have our regular practices, our regular 2-hour practices going in, just like normal. I consider that, and the girls do too, our preparation for playoffs. So it's an important time. It's an important time for them to be present and at practice, and hopefully beyond practice, they can get some rest, get caught up on their schoolwork, take the time, that extra time to do things that they maybe don't do when they have a long school day going on, and stay healthy. That's important too. And there's a lot of stuff going around out there, I know. So we need to make sure that they're resting and fluids and eating good and all those things that, are very like motherly of me to say, but I think it's important, so.
All right. We look forward to seeing how the Sacred Heart Eagles do in the section playoffs. Emily Vonasek, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And we'll continue with the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation, right after this.
That does it for this week's edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Make sure you join us every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock as we bring you the latest updates in and around North Dakota and Minnesota. And a reminder, Kevin Kochman will be at the East Regional in Cooperstown and provide some cross-country updates on Saturday on 106.5 FM KRJB. And we'll have a couple of high school playoff football games on Saturday in North Dakota. You can check those out by going to our website at yourliveevent.com. Until next Wednesday, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening.